and it's feeling to the vibrational frequency of what was being sung. You ain't seen nothing yet. It's speaking obviously on two levels. It's speaking on the level of that which is emerging is outside of our present paradigm, so we can't see it with our eyes. For eyes have not seen, nor ears heard, nor has entered into the heart of those that love God and live according to a purpose that they're being pulled into expression. So you haven't seen anything yet. And secondly, that which is real and that which is eternal cannot be seen by the sensorium, cannot be seen by eyes, cannot be heard by mere ears. It must be caught in consciousness. So they were saying to us this morning, you ain't seen nothing yet. You've got to go into deep spiritual practice and begin to roll with the theme of the month, which is your perception of wholeness. You see, your perception of wholeness, and with a clear awareness that this perception of wholeness, as Ernest Holmes talked about, the founder of the science of mind and spirit, is actually speaking of a vision of that which is real and eternal. Perceptions are always limited, but vision gives you an insight into that which is real and eternal. So we're seeking, as spiritual beings, having spiritual practice to catch vision of that which is trying to emerge, that which is eternally held in the hard mind of the infinite, that pulls us, according to our uniqueness, to manifest that vision on earth as it is in the highest of the highest. This perception comes through, obviously, spiritual practice along with the grace of God. The grace cannot be earned, but your condition for grace is enhanced through spiritual practice, and then you see differently. For me, 1975, when I was 6 months old, at least, 1975, as I was in college, I had my first, as an adult, seeing without eyes. And that is, as I awoke, I could see the love and the beauty and the intelligence everywhere. As I like to say, even in a piece of lint, in the rug, the presence of love and beauty everywhere, penetrating my entire being. The love and the beauty totally took over my life. I could see and feel that God was everywhere. My name for God was Love Beauty. It later evolved to love, beauty, intelligence. That was beyond perception of my limited belief. That was a total immersion into that which is real and eternal that has guided my steps for all of these years. January 2021, as I was about to do a class, I meditated before I was doing the Doom class. Ooh. It was doom and gloom for the ego and the birth of something new for those who are listening. When I came out of meditation, I was blind, literally blind. I could not see. I was immersed in total light. Light was everywhere. And I told Lee Simon Brown, Reverend Kathleen, I couldn't go on with the class because I was blind. I was imbued with the light that was everywhere. Now, I was a little nervous primarily because I remember the story of Saul becoming Paul, and he was blinded by the Christ light, except that Paul was blind for 9 years. And I was saying, no, I can't do 9. No, just not 9, maybe 9 minutes. Anyway, I'm making light of something that was very intense at the moment. And little by little by little, I could see in both dimensions at the same time. I was embraced by the light. At the same time, I could see Kathleen, and I could see Lee, and I could see a fountain of light within them, welling up like a fountain of light within their being. And I had the continued realization that, as it states scripturally, we are the light that lights up every being that comes to the planet. That's not prose, that's not metaphor, that's not poetry, that's the truth of our being. We are light beings. That is our identity. Everything else is a embracing of a lesser identity, which is real relatively, which is magnificent. All of our lesser identities are absolutely wonderful, but our eternal identity is that we are the light that lights up every being that comes to the planet. We are luminous beings that have a mind, that have a body, and that our body and our mind are in our luminous light awareness of which we are. So when we talk about perception, or the perception of wholeness, and that it's harvest time, we're talking about our spiritual practice that yields to moment by moment insight to that which is real, with the awareness that we're in moment by moment harvest time. As I said a couple of weeks ago, every thought you have is registered in the Akashic records. Every thought, every emotion, every feeling, every action, every intention is registered in the Akashic records forever, and every thought that you have right this second is you're harvesting that thought immediately. It's not just something that manifests in the future. It does, yes, but it's manifesting now. Any smile that you have on your face at this moment, every intention to break free from the matrix of separation, every intention to love your inner awareness of catching the message underneath the tongue that I am speaking right now is registering right this instant on your body temple. You're curating chemicals. Immediately, you're harvesting those tonic chemicals that are right now enhancing your immune system, slowing down your aging process, and allowing you to have a little bit more longevity so that you can complete the task that you agreed to do before you got here. In fact, if you are in hate or bigotry or racism or doubt or worry or fear, then you are harvesting toxic chemicals that are right now creating a level of devastation around your immune system, speeding up your aging process, creating a condition for dis-ease and disharmony in the manifestation of roadblocks and obstacles and hindrances in your life, as within, so without. So we're seeking to have a vision of perception with the awareness that we're in harvest time all the time. This makes us aware of what we are thinking, aware of what we're about to say, because we only want to say what we want to bring about. We only want to speak what we bring about. We only want to allow to come over our tongue that which we wish to experience, and that is a practice. Because the world will give us so much to curse. The world will give us so much to worry about. The world will give us so much to fear, so much to doubt. The world of appearances, the world of effects, the world of circumstances will give us so much to doubt ourselves about that we need an underlying spiritual practice in order to normalize the faith that leads to a conviction, and to normalize an awareness of joy that's beyond circumstantial living. We need a spiritual practice. Thus, when we hear the topic of the day, which is divine intervention, tag your it is a reminder that people right now, as we look upon the world that has normalized war, normalized hatred, normalized bombing, and normalized revenge killing, we normalize 34 wars on the planet. We have the Sudan, we have the Congo, we have the Middle East, we have Ukraine and Russia. Let's normalize the war that those who are making war implements, they're making a lot of money. They love it. And certain wars are curated by individuals that are actually producing war implements. Why don't you and you fight so we can make more money? Anyway, the consciousness of warmongers have been normalized and justified by human circumstances. And what we're seeking to be about is to come to an understanding that during this time of intensity, around the wars on the world, around in the world of appearances, there is an emergence trying to take place. There is an intensity that's trying to birth something else. It's trying to birth a world that works for the highest and best within us all. However, people are praying for a divine intervention. Some people are praying for a divine intervention that their side will win, which is just pure ignorance. You know, it's like, oh yes, God has chosen people. God's going to choose this side. People do it in football games. You know, God, make us win this game. You know, silly things like that. As if the God that's omnipresent, that's everywhere in its fullness, that can't change its nature. God is love and beauty and intelligence and harmony and the peace. And that is God's essence, always giving of itself. You can't change God's mind. You can't manipulate God. You can't get God to do anything for you. You are praying not anemically, as Ralph Waldo Emerson would indicate. You're not having an anemic prayer. You're having a prayer that fires you up to a realization that where you are, God is, so that you're not merely praying for a divine intervention, a Superman in the sky coming to save you. You're coming aware that the universal presence has said, tag, you're it. I have sent you to the planet to represent the sacred essence of the Spirit, even when it is hard. Tag, you're it. So the divine intervention comes from individuals in communities like this who are seeking to hold a high frequency of love, intentionality, peace, the dynamic of harmonizing good, joy, the total givingness of the Spirit, which is generosity, holding this particular space in communities all around the world, particularly when the world has gone mad, particularly when the world has lost its right mind, and then you see the losing of the right mind being curated by governments and officials and potentates and news media. Don't watch that stuff for too long. You might start believing it, and then you'll go crazy. So we're seeking to understand that the divine intervention is actually us waking up. In other words, you're here to become a practicing spiritual practitioner that goes beyond mere believing in religiosity. When Ralph Waldo Emerson talked about most religions are anemic, he was speaking of the fact that people go to church every single Sunday, not seeking to change, but seeking to change God's mind, seeking to get some kind of favor from God. Seeking to just go to church every Sunday. I'm going to church. I'm a good person. But not seeking at any level to be transformed by the renewing of their mind. You see, not to be changed in any way, but to try to change other people. Try to change the world. You see? No. We're understanding in New Thought Ageless wisdom that this is not an anemic practice. This is a practice in which we are praying to open ourselves up to the great possibilities that lie within us and to anchor the realm of ever-expanding good on earth, you see. I want you to feel into what I'm saying here, you see, because there are hedges against mysticism. Mysticism is not something mysterious, and not mysterious people sitting in lotus position, having incense and, saying aphorisms and things like that. Mystic is an individual that has a conscious realization of their oneness with God. That's all it is. I'm not talking about a belief in God. I'm not talking about merely a belief that you're one with God. That's a good start. That's a hypothesis. That's a theory. That's a belief. New Thought Ageless Wisdom says that we are practitioners having spiritual practice until we have the insight, so that we can actually be initiated and become established individuals in this presence of love and the beauty and intelligence. And then we're able to see very clearly that there in the world are hedges against this. You break it down like this. We have our body. We love our body. We have our mind. We love our mind. We have our family. We love our family. We're in whatever our neighborhood we're in, we love our neighborhood. Whatever city we're in, we love our city. We have whatever state we're in, we love our state. Oh, I'm from this state, I'm from that state. Then we have our nation, and we love our nation, you see. However, if you are simply identifying with those particular ways of identifying yourself, that means you have narrowed your perception to the temporary identities. And you haven't yet prayed enough to open yourself up that not only are you a global citizen, you are a cosmic citizen. You are a spiritual being. And until you catch that revelation, then you're stuck in a hedge against mysticism. Patriotism is a hedge against mysticism. Pseudo-patriotism, meaning that you have shrunk your attention to loving your nation so well that you'll do wrong for your nation. You see, you've shrunk your attention so well, you have identified yourself in the nation state, which is the last bastion of the ego. It is the nations and the governments of the nations that have national interests. They don't necessarily have international interests. They don't necessarily have cosmic interests. They have national interests. Now, you must have national interests, but if it overrides spiritual interests, if it overrides global awareness, it is a hedge against each and every one of us coming into an awareness of our oneness with the power and the presence and the love of God. This is why we would never say in New Thought, Ageless Wisdom, oh, he's a Jewish mystic, he's a Christian mystic, he's a Buddhist mystic, he's a Hindu mystic. There's no such thing. Once an individual becomes a mystic, the religion that they've come from is just where they come from. I wouldn't say, well, I'm a Washingtonian mystic. I'm a Kansas mystic. No, that's just, I was born in Washington, D.C., but you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say the same thing about he's a Jewish mystic or he's a Christian mystic. No, once an individual has become a mystic, they have transcended the both that brought them there. They honor and love where they have come from and what has helped them become aware of that which is beyond religiosity, but a mystic would never identify themselves as a mystic of a particular religion. And so in order for us to birth the world that works for everyone, we've got to come out of the matrix, you see, which means we have to come out of being a puppet by the puppeteers of governments and potentates. We have to realize that as we surrender our life to the presence, you will see, not with eyes, you will hear, not with ears, that you are the beloved of the presence and the power and the love of God, regardless of how much melanin you have in your skin, regardless of how woolly or straight your hair is, regardless of where you were born, regardless of your religious background. You will begin to see your life as the life of the divine, and your thoughts, your words, and your actions will represent a divine intervention on the planet. You will be a lightning rod and an exclamation point for dynamic peace and love and joy on this planet. You will come to an understanding that there is no religion of heart that practices revenge as a spiritual practice. It does not exist. That comes from the ignorant. That comes from those who have fallen prey to hate, fallen prey to losing their minds to a limited perception, but because it has become normalized and popular and justified, it seems okay, but it is not. That's registered in the Akashic record. And when an individual comes to an awareness that they will judge themselves when they leave the body temple, they will not be able to say, well, it was justified. No, you're going to have a direct experience of the hate you give out or the love you give out. This is always evident when I see my friend Daniel Brinkley, who I had the opportunity to interview on a podcast. And he goes on to talk about the fact that when he was a young man, he was a killer for our nation, and he killed people. That's what he did. And when he died, he had to experience every death that he participated in. It was pure hell for him, he said. He had to experience that death from 4 perceptions. 1, the perception of his consciousness at the time of killing someone. 2, he had to experience the death from the consciousness of the person dying. Their sadness, the fact they weren't going to see their family anymore, won't be able to visit their home anymore. He had to experience the sadness of the individual's family that would lose the person. He had to experience the void that was left in the community of the gift that individual was supposed to give before they were killed. He had to experience that over and over and over again. All the people that he had killed, justified for his nation, etc. It didn't matter that he was told to go kill. It didn't matter. He had to experience that, and it was pure hell. And when he came back, his life became dedicated to love. His life became dedicated to embracing, making sure that veterans never died alone. So when he meets you, and how he meets anybody, he gives you a big hug because he knows he's going to get that. He knows he's going to get the love that he's given out. And so he's gone on to say that he's died a couple of more times since then. And because of the work that he's done on his consciousness over these years, that even though he goes through the soul memory of that which he did when he was a young man, it's not as intense anymore. It's not as hurtful. It's not as painful because he doesn't match that vibration anymore. So though he remembers it, the sting is disappearing because his consciousness is changing. I'm saying all of that to say that that the universe has tagged us to represent the presence on the planet, even when it is hard and difficult. You can remember a couple of years ago, I was saying that during the time when there was such separation in communities, even in spiritual communities, around vaccinated and non-vaccinated, people were arguing on both sides of the argument. Well, you must get vaccinated to protect everybody. Oh, you must not take the government vaccination because it's not been out long enough. You don't even know what everybody was arguing. And I was saying, and it said after that, and Tommy Rosen was bringing that to his particular community as well, that during that particular time, the real question isn't whether you are vaccinated or not vaccinated. The question is, can you stay in love with individuals that you disagree with? If you have a spiritual practice, you stay in love with people that you do not share the same agreement with. You don't just separate and say, oh, they're not my friend anymore, because they disagree with me. And so we're living in a time now where puppeteer is pulling strings and making people separate because more people are easily controlled when they're in hate and separation. Don't fall prey to that. Do not fall prey to hate. Do not fall prey to being a hater. Remember what I said a few weeks ago when I was here in the sanctuary and also when I was in D.C. speaking at the wonderful Unity festival put on by Sri Ravi Shankar, and that is an individual that's fallen prey to hate forgets that their mind is being hijacked by someone. Why? No one comes on the planet a hater. There's not one baby born, Israeli, Palestinian, Ukrainian, Russian, African, from the Congo, from the Sudan, wherever, that comes into the world hating. Hate is trained. Hate is learned. As I was sharing, we have the corpus stratum. It's in our brain. Whenever we're having feelings of joy and love, compassion, caring, generosity, it activates that part of the brain. And it kind of magnifies it. And some of the research has shown from Harvard that even if you see a kind act, you're not participating in the kind act, but you just noticed a kind act. You just notice that somebody has forgiven someone. You notice somebody is sharing. If you just see it, it activates the corpus stratum. So it magnifies that awareness of the presence of God within you. And if you're in hate or intense worry or doubt, it doesn't activate. That part of the brain doesn't get activated. However, you can falsely activate it with cocaine, high doses of sugar, some of the American diet that's not good for you. It temporarily activate it, but it has devastating results after a while. Your immune system it dissolves. You take away your longevity. You become a condition for disease. All I'm saying is you are wired for love. You're wired for peace. You're wired for joy. You're wired for compassion, but you're not wired for hate. Hate is curated. It's trained. So in individuals that hate and they think they're hating and they're justified, well, they said that about me and they did this to me and they did that to my people, they are being trained into a lesser frequency that's not going to build a kind and just global society. Doesn't matter how justified you think it is only going to perpetuate the thought forms of separation that's going to continue to create a world of appearances of separation, lack, limitation, scarcity, and not enoughness. I'm telling you right now, there is a new world trying to be born. Who is it going to be born through? The artists, the meditators, those that pray. I'm not talking about begging and beseeching prayer. I'm talking about activated affirmative prayer. Those individuals are going to birth. They're going to carry the frequency of that which can't be seen by eyes or heard by ears. They're going to carry the frequency, and they're going to birth this magnificent vision. I've seen it. This magnificent vision. It's not going to come through the haters. It's not going to come from the war implements. It's not going to come from those that are warring. No, they're just going to create more people who hate. Every time you kill somebody, their family's going to hate you. It's going to go on for generations. That's what ignorance does, you see. I don't care what your president has said. I don't care what any president has said. If they do not have the moral strength to stand for dynamic peace and mediation and ceasefire, they are not representing the God presence. They are not. They're representing only a national interest, which is a hedge against seeing the vision of possibility. Now, this is not an opinion. This is universal law. You see, this is universal law. And so the artists of the world who pick up melody and choreography and magnificent beauty, prose and poetry, they catch it from the magnificent idea-sphere. The mystics who catch a sense of oneness, whether you are a natural mystic, you love the forest, whether you are a mystic that loves the ocean, you love mountain climbing, you love just standing and sitting in the silence with your prayer. An individual is praying for a realization of your oneness with God. You see, you're whatever kind of mystic you ultimately evolve into. The mystics, the artists, the meditators, the prayers, and communities like this who are seeking to celebrate not what God's going to do, but to celebrate what God is always doing. Coming together and celebrate what God's always doing. The world that I saw in the light, the world that I saw in 1975 and have seen it many times since, it's real. That world is revealing itself through those who are catching the vibration of the Most High. And we have to hold that. We can have our opinions, as I said a couple of weeks ago. We can have our points of view. We can know the history of why certain wars are going on. We can be totally educated about all of that. Everything has a level of complexity. Nothing is black and white. Everything has a level of complexity. But at a certain point, as spiritual practitioners, we rise and we become the intervention. We become the vibrational intervention, which leads us to right thought, right speech, and right action. And that right thought and that right speech and right action is motivated by love. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna is faced with the mandate to have to fight. He didn't want to fight, but situations had become to such a degree that he had to fulfill a karmic aspect of the law to fight. Krishna teaches Arjuna that he cannot go into this war with any kind of hate. He has to do what he has to do, but it cannot be with hate. It has to be with love, you see. It has to be with love. So even if you study the Bhagavad Gita, which of course is really an inner reckoning that's going on, that's allowing us to look at all the places within us that we're at war with. There may be individuals that are at war with a part of themselves that are bigot, a part of themselves that can't forgive, a part of themselves that's a racist, a part of themselves that's greedy or gluttony. There may be parts of individuals who have been curated into all kinds of negativity, and you have to go to war with it to a degree, but you can't hate it or you'll be at one with it. You see, you have to embrace. And going to war means that you become so aware of it within yourself that it doesn't have power anymore. You see, you become totally radically honest until it begins to lose its power. And so don't get caught up. Don't get caught up. Everybody, not everybody, but there's so many uninitiated people that are right. I see them on the internet sometimes. They're just right. Now, two rights don't make a right. Just like two wrongs don't make a right, two rights don't make a right. There's only one right, and that's the presence. That's everywhere. You can't see it with your eyes. You can't hear it with your ears. You can only capture it and be captured by it through spiritual work. Now remember, going back to Ralph Waldo Emerson, to just say you go to church every Sunday and have a belief in God, he said that's anemic. That's religiosity. You have to get down like spiritual James Brown. Sometimes burn the midnight oil until you have an awareness. Oh my God, closer than my breathing, nearer than my hands and feet. God is real, not a man in the sky. God is real. I can't manipulate this God. I can't tell this God what to do. I can surrender. I can yield. I can allow. I can let go to it. I can allow myself to be its ambassador. I can allow myself to be its exclamation point, I can be the mouthpiece of it. Divine intervention. The presence of God is saying, tag, you're it. I sent you. At this time in human history, I sent you here. You agreed to come here, to not fall prey to hate, justified revenge. I sent you here to not get caught up in religiosity. I sent you here to know the presence of God and to stand in that awareness, even if it's unpopular. You didn't come here to win a popularity contest. You came here to represent the love and the beauty and the joy, the generosity, the intelligence of the Most High. And yes, you can love your body. You can love your family, definitely. You can love your neighborhood. You can love your city. You can love your nation. You can love all of that, but you can't get stuck there. You have to rise and become a global citizen. Every life that is killed, whether it's in the Congo, whether it's in Palestine, whether it's in Israel, whether it's in Ukraine, whether it's in Russia, whether it's any part of the world, is significant. There is no life anywhere worth more than any other life. Whether you are a billionaire or a pauper, the presence of God does not see any difference. We must not see any difference. If we do, we've lost our moral compass. All life is precious. And we see that when we open up and are grateful for the life that we are, a life that we did not create. It was a gift as we emerged from the eternal. Wow. I'm glad many of you come to Agape every Sunday, but I'm more overjoyed when you have some level of spiritual practice. You take a class, you meditate at our meditation service, you develop a meditation practice, not just to get what you want, but to begin to see that which is